Inside the sitting room, the clock ticked past 11:47 p.m. The jollof rice on the dining table had gone cold hours ago. The meat had dried up. And Chioma still sat there, staring blankly at the front door. Her hands trembled as she clutched her phone, refreshing WhatsApp every few seconds, hoping for a single "I'm on my way" message from Tunde. Nothing. The last message from him was 7 hours ago. Meeting might take long. Don't wait up. She sighed and pressed her lips together. Meeting, she muttered under her breath. That word had become her nightmare. It used to mean progress. Now it meant another woman. She stood up slowly and walked toward the window. Outside, the streetlights flickered over the puddles. Somewhere in the distance, a generator hummed. Their neighborhood in Ikeja was usually lively. But tonight it was silent. Too silent. The kind of silence that makes loneliness louder. Chioma looked down at her own reflection on the glass. Her face looked older, tired. Her once sparkling eyes were dull, her cheeks thinner. The woman staring back at her was a stranger, someone whose smile had been stolen by disappointment. She whispered, "What happened to us, Tunde?" There was a time when he couldn't go 2 hours without calling her, when she was his best friend, his gist partner, his everything. Back when they shared one room in Surulere, eating bread and sardine at night and laughing over who'd get the bigger slice. He had promised her the world, and she believed him. She gave him everything. Her love, her loyalty, her prayers. Now, 5 years into their marriage, success had changed him. The same man who once said, "I'll die before I hurt you," was now hurting her daily with his silence. Her phone buzzed suddenly. Her heart jumped. It was him. But when she opened the message, her chest went cold. It wasn't meant for her. It was from his second phone. The one he thought she didn't know about. A message notification appeared at the top. "Baby, I can't stop thinking about you. Same hotel tomorrow?" Caro and Chioma froze. Her mouth went dry. She felt the room spinning as she read it again and again. Her mind screamed, "No, not Tunde. Not my husband." Her hands trembled as she set the phone down. She couldn't cry. The tears just refused to come. Instead, a heavy silence filled her body, pressing on her chest like a weight. When Tunde finally came home at 12:43 a.m., he looked fresh. Too fresh. His shirt was neatly tucked, his shoes polished, and he smelled of designer cologne. Not the cheap one she bought him last Christmas. This one smelled expensive, seductive. "You're still awake?" he asked casually, dropping his keys on the table. Chioma swallowed. "Yes, I waited." He stretched and yawned. "Meeting was mad today. Those clients nearly gave me hypertension." She forced a smile. "Hope you ate something?" He nodded. "Yeah, had small chops at the meeting." Chioma's heart ached at the word meeting. She watched him walk to the bedroom, humming under his breath, and for the first time, she realized he wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. The next morning, she woke up to an empty bed. He had already left for work without saying goodbye. On the dining table, he left N2000 beside her plate of untouched rice, like she was a housemaid, not his wife. That afternoon, she visited her friend Ifeoma's salon in Festac. Ifeoma, full of life as always, noticed her pale face immediately. "Chioma, my sister, what's going on? You look like somebody that just came back from a burial." Chioma smiled weakly. "Marriage, Wahala. Tunde has changed." Ifeoma rolled her eyes. "Changed how? You mean he's cheating Abi?" Chioma lowered her eyes. "I don't know. Maybe." As she spoke, two women getting their hair braided started gossiping nearby. "Men are all the same," one said. "My husband was ignoring me until I told him I was pregnant. Now he treats me like egg." The other laughed. Ah, that trick still works. Pregnancy can make a man fear God again. They all laughed, but Kioma's heart stopped. Pregnancy. That word echoed in her head the whole ride home. Could it really work? Would Tunde finally pay attention to her again if he thought she was carrying his child? That night, she stood in front of the mirror, watching herself. She touched her flat stomach gently and whispered, "What if this is the only way to save my home?" Her conscience screamed no, but her heart whispered yes. She couldn't lose him. Not after everything she had sacrificed. She walked to the bathroom, picked up an old pregnancy test kit she once bought months ago, and placed it carefully on the table. She didn't even need to use it. She only needed him to see it. She planned her script carefully. The nervous laugh, the trembling voice, the shy smile. Everything had to look real. When Tunde came home that evening, she served him dinner with a smile he hadn't seen in months. He looked at her suspiciously. This when you're smiling like this. Who dash you, Joy?" She sat down beside him, her heart pounding. "Tunde," she began softly, "there's something I need to tell you." He looked up, chewing slowly. "What's that?" Her voice shook. I'm pregnant." The fork fell from his hand. For the first time in months, his eyes widened, not with anger, but surprise. He stared at her for a moment, then stood up, a smile spreading across his face. "Chioma, are you serious?" She nodded, forcing a tearful smile. He pulled her into his arms. "You've made me the happiest man alive." Chioma closed her eyes. The scent of his shirt filled her lungs, the same scent that once made her feel safe. But now it only reminded her of the woman he was cheating with. As he kissed her forehead, she felt guilt crawl up her throat like bile. The warmth she had longed for was finally back, but it wasn't real. It was built on a lie. That night, she lay beside him, pretending to sleep while he scrolled through his phone. Then she heard his voice, low and smug, whispering into it. "Relax, babe. She says she's pregnant, but I know it's fake. Let's just play along till I confirm." Her heart stopped. She opened her eyes, tears slipping down silently. He knew. He had known all along. She turned her face away, clutching the bedsheet to her chest as silent sobs shook her body. The rain started again outside, loud and restless. And under that storm, Chioma realized she wasn't the only one pretending. Her husband was too. But his game was crueler, and his end would be darker than he imagined. The next morning, after the fake announcement, Chioma woke up with a strange mix of peace and fear. For the first time in months, Tunde was smiling. He made breakfast, something he hadn't done in years, and even kissed her on the forehead before leaving for work. She stood by the window, watching him drive off, trying to convince herself that she had done the right thing. Maybe, just maybe, this lie would fix everything. Maybe all he needed was a reminder that she could still make him proud. But lies, like weeds, grow fast. And soon they choke everything else. The following weeks were a blur of pretense. Tunde became a different man, buying her fruits, asking about her appetite, calling her during lunch hours. He even changed her contact name on his phone from Chioma to My Queen. At first, Chioma was overwhelmed. Every gentle touch, every thoughtful gesture made her heart ache. She had wanted this version of Tunde for so long. But late at night, when he fell asleep, she would sit by the window and whisper to herself, "You're living inside a lie, Chioma. You built your happiness on sand." Each time she looked at herself in the mirror, she saw the guilt in her own eyes. And deep inside, she knew, sooner or later, the truth would show its face. One Saturday morning, Tunde burst into the bedroom holding a white envelope. "Babe," he said cheerfully, "I got you something." She smiled nervously. "What's that?" Antenatal package. We're going to St. Mark's Hospital on Monday. Let's get our baby checked. Chioma froze. Her throat went dry. She forced a laugh. Tunde, it's still too early, nah. Doctor said scan can wait. He tilted his head. Which doctor? Her lips parted, but no words came out. Dr. Nena. She stammered. Remember her? The one that treated me last year. He smiled faintly, but his eyes were sharp. Good. Call her then. I'll drive you there on Monday. The smile on his lips didn't reach his eyes. It was the smile of a man who knew he was being lied to and was just waiting to watch the liar fall. That weekend, Chioma barely slept. She searched online for fake scan reports, read blogs, even considered paying a nurse she knew to lie for her. But every idea made her stomach turn. This wasn't who she was. This wasn't the woman her mother raised. On Sunday evening, she called her friend Ifeoma. Her voice shook as she spoke. Ifeoma, I've done something terrible. Chioma, calm down. What is it? I lied to Tunde. I told him I'm pregnant. There was silence on the line for a few seconds. Then Ifeoma gasped. Chioma, you what? Do you want to die before your time? Tears filled her eyes. I just wanted him back, Afi. I thought if he believed we were having a baby, he'd love me again. My sister, love built on deceit is like a leaking roof. The day rain falls, everyone will get wet. Chioma wiped her eyes. It's too late, Ify. He already booked a hospital appointment. Then confess before it's too late. You don't know what that man can do if he finds out another way. But Chioma couldn't. She didn't have the strength. She had already crossed a line she didn't know how to return from. Monday morning came like a nightmare. Chioma faked a dizzy spell, pretending to be too weak to go out. Tunde didn't argue. He just smiled coldly and said, No problem. We'll go next week. You should rest. The way he said it made her shiver. He knew. He was just playing along. That evening, she caught him outside the gate, speaking on the phone. His tone was casual, but his words were knives. Babe, don't worry. I know it's fake. She's just desperate for attention. I'll play along until she exposes herself. Chioma felt her heart tear open. He had told Caro everything. He wasn't just mocking her. He was strategizing. When he came inside, she confronted him, tears already rolling down. You told your girlfriend about me, Abi? About this pregnancy? Tunde chuckled. Which pregnancy? He leaned against the doorframe, arms folded, eyes burning with mockery. You mean that imaginary baby you used to trap me? Chioma's voice cracked. I did it because you stopped loving me. He moved closer, face inches from hers. I stopped loving you because you became boring. You're too predictable, too emotional. You cry, you beg, you pray. Same routine. She slapped him before she even realized it. The sound echoed through the room. He stared at her, stunned, then laughed quietly. You'll regret that. And he walked away. From that night, everything changed. Tunde stopped pretending. He became colder, crueler. He would leave home early, return late, and sometimes not at all. He started whispering things in front of her family. Subtle lies meant to destroy her reputation. He told his mother that Chioma was acting strange, that the pregnancy had affected her mental health. Soon, rumors spread through their extended family that Chioma was unstable. Her phone stopped ringing. Friends stopped visiting. Even her church members started avoiding her. Tunde was winning the war she never meant to start. One night, Chioma woke up to hear him talking on the phone again. She stayed silent and listened. Don't worry, babe. Once she confesses, I'll file for divorce. I'll get the house, the car, everything. She'll walk out with nothing. Her breath caught in her throat. That was his plan all along. He wasn't trying to expose her. He was waiting for her to break so he could destroy her completely. Chioma curled up on the floor and cried until her chest ached. She felt trapped inside her own lie, surrounded by walls she built with her own hands. The next morning, she packed a small bag and went to her cousin's house in Festac. Her cousin, Ngozi, was shocked to see her at the door. "Chioma, you look sick. What happened?" "I just need to stay here for a few days," she whispered. Tunde called that evening, his voice full of fake worry. "Babe, where are you? I've been calling everyone. You know stress isn't good for the baby." Her hands shook. He was pretending again. "Leave me alone, Tunde, please." He laughed softly. "You can't hide forever. You think running away will save you?" She ended the call and dropped the phone, tears blurring her sight. That night, lying on the couch at Ngozi's house, Chioma made a decision. If Tunde wanted a game, she would give him one. But this time, she would be the one holding the cards. She wasn't going to beg anymore. She wasn't going to hide. She would take control and make sure Tunde never saw the next twist coming. For the first time in months, Chioma didn't cry herself to sleep. She was still afraid, yes. But beneath that fear, something new was growing. Strength. And strength was the one thing Tunde never expected her to find. Chioma sat alone in the quiet of Ngozi's living room, the hum of the ceiling fan the only sound in the room. Her phone lay on the table, screen lighting up every few minutes with missed calls from Tunde. He had been calling nonstop for 2 days, first with anger, then with pity, and now with fake love. Each voicemail started the same. "Chioma, let's talk like adults. You know I love you." She almost laughed the first time she heard it. Love? What kind of love humiliates, cheats, and manipulates? What kind of love uses your weakness as entertainment? She knew what he wanted. Control. But this time she wasn't going to give it to him. She opened her diary and began to write, her handwriting trembling. It wasn't a confession. It was a goodbye letter to her old self. If I must lose everything to find peace, so be it. I refuse to live as a prisoner to a man who feeds on my silence. When she finished writing, she closed the diary slowly and whispered, "Tomorrow I'll end this." The next morning, she dressed neatly, tied her scarf, and took a taxi to St. Mark's Specialist Hospital, the same hospital Tunde had once mentioned for antenatal care. The receptionist looked up politely. "Good morning." "Ma, how can we help you?" Chioma smiled faintly. "I need to see Dr. Olani. Tell him it's urgent." Within minutes, she was seated in the doctor's office, a calm, middle-aged man with kind eyes. He asked gently, "Madam Chioma, what seems to be the problem?" And that was when she broke. She told him everything. The lie, the guilt, the manipulation, the cheating, the threats. Her voice shook, but she didn't stop talking until her chest felt lighter. Dr. Olani listened silently, nodding occasionally. When she finished, he leaned forward and said softly, "Madam, you made a mistake, but your husband's cruelty is not your punishment. The truth will hurt, but it will set you free." She nodded, wiping her tears. "He wants to destroy me, doctor. I can feel it. He's pretending to care so that when the truth comes out, I'll look like the villain." The doctor paused, then said, "Bring him here. Tell him you're ready for the scan. Leave the rest to me." That evening, Chioma called Tunde. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. "Tunde, I want to make things right. I've booked a scan for tomorrow morning. I want you there." He hesitated for a moment, then replied, "Finally, maybe you're ready to act like a wife again. I'll be there." When the call ended, she exhaled deeply. The final act had begun. The next day arrived with the soft warmth of the Lagos sun. Chioma wore a simple gown, no makeup, her face bare, but her heart steady. She waited outside the hospital, watching cars pass until she saw Tunde's black SUV pull up. He stepped out looking sharp as always, dressed like a man whose only sin was success. He smiled when he saw her. "Ah, my queen. Ready for the big day?" She nodded, silent. They walked into the hospital together, two people bound by a lie, yet standing on opposite sides of truth. Inside the doctor's office, Tunde sat beside her, legs crossed, eyes glued to his phone. Dr. Olani entered, greeting them warmly. "Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Tunde. Shall we begin?" He asked Chioma to lie down on the examination table. As the cold gel touched her belly, her heart raced. She could hear the hum of the machine, the steady rhythm of her own breathing, and Tunde's impatient sighs. After a few moments, Dr. Olani turned off the screen and faced them. His expression was calm but firm. "Mr. Tunde," he began, "I need to discuss something important with both of you." Tunde leaned forward, smirking. "Go ahead, doctor. Is it twins or triplets?" The doctor's eyes didn't move. "Neither. There's no pregnancy here." The room went dead silent. Chioma felt her stomach twist, but she didn't speak. Tunde blinked, then laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. "So it's true? You've been lying to me all along." He stood up, voice rising. "Do you know how foolish you've made me look, Chioma? I should have known you were nothing but a manipulative woman." "Sit down," the doctor interrupted firmly. The authority in his voice made even Tunde freeze. "Mr. Tunde, before you start shouting, I think you should hear something." He picked up a brown envelope from his desk and placed it on the table. "This is your recent lab result. Your mistress, Miss Caroline, brought you here 2 weeks ago for some routine tests. We always keep records." Tunde frowned, confused. "What are you talking about?" "You tested positive for gonorrhea," the doctor said quietly. The air left the room. Chioma's heart thudded loudly in her chest. Tunde's eyes widened, his face draining of color. "That's impossible," he shouted. "Run it again." Dr. Olani sighed. "We already did. Twice. You need immediate treatment, sir. And you might want to inform your wife before she also becomes a victim." Tunde turned toward Chioma, his mouth opening and closing like a man drowning. But she just stared at him. Silent, broken, yet strangely calm. You went behind my back?" he stammered. The doctor stood up. "No, Mr. Tunde. Your actions went behind hers." Chioma rose slowly from the bed. Her knees trembled, but her spirit felt steady. She picked up her handbag, turned to the doctor, and said softly, "Thank you for saving me." Then she looked at Tunde. "You wanted a confession, Tunde. Now you have it, and something extra to remember me by." He reached for her arm, but she stepped back. "Don't touch me. You broke me in ways words can't describe. But I thank God, because sometimes you have to lose yourself completely to find the courage to start again." And with that, she walked out of the room. Outside, the world looked brighter. The breeze felt clean, the sky bluer than she remembered. For the first time in years, she felt free. She didn't go back to Ngozi's house. Instead, she found a small apartment in Gbagada. 1 bedroom, old tiles, but peaceful. She started baking again, something she had given up when her marriage began to crumble. Soon, she began selling cakes to offices and schools nearby. Each day, she healed a little more.